Virgo, welcome to your astrology reading for the month of February. And so before I get started with all the Aquarius energy, because there is a ton of it, a good idea is to listen to your sun, your moon, and your rising sign. So your sun sign is how you express yourself. Your rising sign is how other people perceive you. So this, if you're running your birth chart, would be your ascendant or your first house. So I do everything based on whole signs, so I don't know if that helps you or it doesn't, but your ascendant, it's going to be very clear in your chart regardless of what method you use. Then there's the moon sign, that is your emotions. It's how you process everything using that emotional lens. And so just focusing here right away on the Aquarius energy, because there is a lot of it, this is going to impact your house of daily routines. And so what's happening here in the month of February, maybe I'll start with end of January. So on January 20th, we had both the sun and Pluto move into Aquarius. Aquarius is a liberating energy. So if there's any kind of structure that you've put in place that just doesn't work for you anymore, it will be removed. That is that Pluto in Aquarius energy. And so with that in mind, we add Mercury into the mix. So on February 5th at 12:10 in the morning, so that's Eastern time, Pacific time will be the night before, we'll have Mercury, Pluto, and the sun all in this liberating, rebel, out-of-the-box thinking type of energy. And so all impacting your sixth house of daily routines. And so right away, Mercury is going to be conjunct Pluto. And what this means is if there's anything within your daily routine that has held you back from an area of life. And so this is where it really makes sense to listen to all of your signs, just to understand. If this is your sun sign, listen to your rising sign, because those two are going to be the most significant, with your rising sign actually being the most accurate. And so with this sixth house energy, there is some sort of transformation that needs to take place in your daily routine. There's some sort of change here that needs to happen, that needs to break free, remove you from any barriers that exist. And so whether it's too structured of a routine or not structured enough, there's something here that does need to change. We'll have Mercury conjunct Mars. And so Mars is actually in the sign of Capricorn. So even though these two planets are near each other, they're actually occupying different topics. And so Mercury is sitting in your sixth house, your daily routines. And we've got Mars sitting in the sign of Capricorn, which is impacting your fifth house. This would be your pleasure pursuits, your passion projects, your short-term relationships, children, if you have them. And so Mercury conjunct Mars, there might be something here with your daily routines as it relates to children. There might be some sort of action you need to take or structure you need to put in place as around maybe short-term relationships, maybe hobbies, passions. Maybe you're just not making enough time for these things in your life, and so you need to make time for these things. And so that's what that Mercury conjunct Mars is. But it's also about, because Mars is action, but Mercury is really that communication, and it's also processing of information. So a lot of that energy is also taking place. We'll have Mercury square Jupiter in Taurus. And so here we've got this connection between your daily routines and now your ninth house. Your ninth house is higher education, long distance travel, your internal philosophy, your religion, all of these things that really kind of help you see the big picture, understand things from that broader perspective, because that's definitely what the ninth house is all about. And Jupiter in Taurus, and so Taurus is a very grounded energy, very practical energy. Jupiter is all about expansion. And so there's something here where you're trying to grow something here within your daily routines. So this could be an instance where you want to go back to school, you want to get an advanced degree, or maybe you want to go to college. And so this would be the instance of trying to make time or something along those lines, or try to fit it into your schedule. That's what that would be an example of this connection here. Jupiter is in the mix, so normally this would create some sort of obstacle or challenge, but it's not going to, because Jupiter wants you to do this. It wants to expand just your mind and just the way that you view things. Mercury is also going to be sextile Neptune and Pisces. And so Neptune and Pisces is actually in your house of personal relationships. So one-to-one relationships. So this could be marriage. It could be any kind of long-term relationship. This could be a business partnership. So contracts, negotiations all fall within that seventh house. And so what goals, what dreams do you have around those type of relationships? And then what action do you need to take in your daily life in order to go about those? What is it that you need to do? What is it that you need to change? And so this would be thinking about things that you need to change, communicating the changes that need to take place in order for you to achieve those goals that you set for yourself when it comes to the type of relationship that you want. And so again, is it making time for somebody? Is it opening up I don't know, maybe like reducing your responsibilities or cutting back on something that you're not really fond of doing anyway in your daily routine, just to make room for these things that you do want in your daily routines. And so that's what's happening here. It does require you to take action. That sextile is not going to happen by itself. It does require you to take action here. And then we have the new moon in Aquarius. And so that's going to happen on February 9th at 5:59 p.m. Eastern time. And so Pacific, obviously, same day. And so what's happening now is we have the sun, the moon, Mercury, and Pluto all in Aquarius. And so again, this liberating energy is just going to continue to grow, and it's going to impact you in more ways, again, with your daily routines. And so with the moon and the sun, with this new moon, you're going to have an easier time expressing yourself. You're going to have an easier time expressing what it is that you need from a daily routine standpoint, what it is that you're looking for. And so daily routines does encompass a lot. So this would be your eating habits. This would be your work habits. What do you do outside of work that is kind of a normal routine for you? So it's not that structured every single day I do the same thing. It's, maybe every Wednesday you do something, like a book club, or I'm just making things up. You know what I mean? And so that would be this kind of easy expression of exactly what it is that you want from a daily routine standpoint. At the same time, this sun and moon energy is going to be in a square with Uranus and Taurus. And so Taurus, again, is sitting in and occupying your 9th house. So this would be that growth, that expansion. Uranus is a planet of transformation. So it's the tower in the tarot decks. And so Uranus is very similar to that Pluto and Aquarius energy. Uranus will shake things up. Uranus does it because you don't need this anymore. It's got the same kind of impact to your life. It's going to be a sudden change. It's going to feel uncomfortable in the moment, but it's doing it for a reason. It's opening you up to expand, to grow, to gather more information, do more with your life. Is it more travel? Is it going back to school? What is it that you're trying to do here? Because this is giving you an opportunity to really go about it. This does require you to really take action. You can overcome the challenge that exists here, because right now, how you express yourself, what it is that you want from a daily routines, is in conflict with this Uranus and Taurus energy. And so Uranus is trying to remove some of these things from your life, and you might not be ready for it. So it does require some action on your part in order to overcome those obstacles and challenges. And it will remove any kind of blocks. So if you've been feeling a little unstable, this is going to remove any kind of blocks. Uranus and Taurus. Taurus is very stable. Uranus wants to shake things up. So they sound like they're at odds, but Uranus is really trying to act in that interest. It's trying to create some stability for you. We'll also have the sun and the moon trine the south node in Libra. And so this is an eclipse point. We are in Aries Libra eclipse season. And so with the south node in Libra, that's impacting your 2nd house. So that's your personal finances. And so that's balancing your personal finances. And so what we have is you want to make some changes to your daily routine. You want to express exactly what it is that you want in your daily routine. And what you're trying to do is align that with your money. You're trying to align that with your personal finances. Is there something here that you're trying to get in control? Is there something here, maybe you shop a lot and you're trying to bring that in? This would be that type of energy that you're trying to do during this time period. It is about creating balance here. So that's definitely, keep that in mind. There is this kind of desire to balance your finances. We'll also have the sun and the moon sextile Chiron in Aries. And so again, we've got your daily routines, and now we've got Chiron in Aries. So Chiron is the wounded healer. It's sitting in the sign of Aries. Aries is occupying your 8th house. So this is the house of transformation. This is death and rebirth. This is also power and control issues, intimacy issues, other people's money. That would include like your employer paying you, as well as debt, inheritance money. So all of these things are kind of part of that 8th house. And so when it comes to your daily routines, Chiron in Aries in the 8th house, there is this connection again with money that's being highlighted. So really maybe taking a look at what your relationship is with money and looking at it from that perspective. It could also indicate that you're trying to take action around maybe healing some past wounds when it comes to relationships. And this would be maybe any power control issues that might have existed, any kind of intimacy issues that would have existed. And you're being given an opportunity here to heal them, but it doesn't require you to take action. And there is something here connected to your daily routines. It's about making time for it and giving yourself that kind of grace to move through it. Mars does enter Aquarius on the 13th at 1:05 a.m. So now, and that's Eastern time, so Pacific the night before. And so now we're adding more planets into the mix. And so we've got Mars, Sun, and Pluto all in Aquarius. This is, again, a lot of energy sitting in your 6th house. And so Mars is the planet of action. And right away, Mars is conjunct Venus. But Venus is not in Aquarius, not yet, not for a few more days. And so Venus is actually still sitting in the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn is occupying your 5th house, so short-term relationships, children, your pleasure projects, so like passions, hobbies, things like that. 6th house is your daily routines, and so you're taking action here in your daily life in order to make room for the things that you value. That's what this represents, and so this is what this Mars energy is doing here. Mars is also in a square to Jupiter and Taurus, and so Jupiter and Taurus, again, with that expansion. So what is it that you want to build upon from this perspective? What do you see big picture? Do you see you traveling more? Are you, because finances have come up a couple times. Is there something connected in that respect that you're making some changes in your daily routine? Like maybe you're not spending as much money because you're trying to save up so that you can go and travel long distance and go after something from that perspective. And so that Jupiter and Taurus energy is about the things that you value and really expanding the things that you value. And there is this daily routine kind of connection. This is a square energy, but Jupiter is blessing this and saying you can do this. This is not going to be that difficult for you at all. Mars is sextile Neptune in Pisces. And so now what we're talking about is Neptune in Pisces is all about your dreams. This is sitting in your house of personal relationships. So one-to-one relationships, so your significant other, business partnerships, maybe contracts, negotiations, things that like that, but it's a one-to-one connection and there's like a long-term component to it. Even when you think about marriage, there's like a contract component to it. And so what kind of dreams do you have from that perspective? And then, so that's Neptune and Pisces. And so Mars sitting in your daily routines, what actions do you need to take in order to go after those goals that you have? What is it that needs to change in your daily life? Do you need to make room for somebody in your daily life? Is there something maybe, it would be modifying your schedule in some way to make room for somebody else. And we'll also have Mars conjunct Pluto in Aquarius. So all the actions that you're taking, everything that's happening here is going to be transformational. It is about removing all of these blocks that you probably didn't even know existed because they've been building for a while. You've been putting these structures in place for roughly 15 years leading up to this. And so now you're starting to identify, okay, these are the structures that I put in place. I've really limited myself. I've kind of boxed myself in. And so I need to shake some of this up. It needs to go away. That's the Pluto and Aquarius energy. It says, okay, I'll take care of it for you. That's what's happening. We do have Venus entering Aquarius just a couple of days after Mars does. So on the 16th, this happens at 8:05 in the morning Eastern time. And so Pacific would be the night before. And what's happening now is we'll have the Pluto, Mars, Sun, Venus, and Mercury planets all in Aquarius, all sitting in your house of daily routines. And so a lot is happening in this time period. You're going to see a lot of symmetry between the Mars entering Aquarius and Venus entering Aquarius. And it really is coming from a slightly different place. So right away, Venus is going to semi-sextile the Sun. And so what that really means is that the Sun is getting ready to move into Pisces. And so there's a little bit of friction between what you value, that Venus energy, and the Sun, that self-expression. And so this is not a strong energy at all. It's just a friction. It's not something that requires a lot of action. So just kind of keep that in mind. We'll also have Venus trine the moon in Taurus. And so your daily routine, so what you value, what you want in your daily routines, connected to the moon in Taurus. So moon in Taurus is impacting your 9th house. And so again, we're going back to the long distance travel, your personal philosophies, like those things that you value, your religion, any kind of higher education. And so what is it that you're trying to do here? Because this is an easygoing aspect. This is going to happen naturally. You're not going to have to put any effort into this. And so when you look at what you value and you look at what you're trying to expand and grow, that moon in Taurus is about, it's interesting because Venus is the ruler of Taurus. And so there's a lot of connection between what you want, what you value, and how you process all of this information, really aligning with your emotions and what it is you truly want. And so that is being aspected here. We'll also have Venus conjunct Mars. And so where before they were in different houses, now they're in the same house. And so this is about your 6th house of daily routines. And so when it comes to this conjunction, it is about, because it's all within your daily routines, what actions do you want to take? It really comes down to being that simple. What actions do you want to take in pursuit of your dreams, of your goals? What is it that you're trying to do? What is it you want to accomplish? Because Venus is also going to be conjunct Pluto, and this is giving you the opportunity to transform your daily routine in order to go after exactly what you want. Venus will be square Jupiter in Taurus, and so Jupiter in Taurus is in your 9th house. And so again, it's about expanding. What is it that you want? What are you trying to make room for in your life? What are your next steps? What are your ultimate goals? Because then we also have Venus sextile Neptune in Pisces. And so Neptune in Pisces is those goals. It is those dreams. What is it that you want to accomplish here? It is going to require action. So in order for you to get what you want, it's not going to just happen. You are going to have to take action. So really focusing here on your goals, on your dreams as they relate to another person, as they relate to maybe a significant other, business partner, something along those lines. But it's definitely those one-to-one relationships. And this is kind of encouraging you to seize the opportunity when it presents itself. And then on the 18th, we have the sun entering Pisces. And so that's going to happen at 11:13 p.m. Eastern time. And so it's going to be a little bit earlier Pacific time, but we'll have the sun, Saturn, and Neptune all in the sign of Pisces. Pisces is all about going after your dreams. Neptune is at home in Pisces. And so really, you've got the sign and the planet that are indicating going after your dreams sitting in your 7th house. And so right away, the sun is going to be trine the moon. The moon, again, your emotions, that's sitting in your 11th house of community. And so when you look at your personal relationships and your relationships with other people, the community around you, so these would be your friends, your family, all of those people that you choose to interact with outside of those personal relationships. And so what's happening here is that there is this alignment with the type of the way that you express yourself in those personal relationships as it relates to how you want to be perceived within your community. There is a lot of symmetry here. There is a really strong, really easygoing connection. This is a very supportive connection. And so whatever you're doing is putting yourself in complete alignment. And so there isn't this disconnect between who you are in private versus who you are in public. It's really aligning the two. And so the sun is going to be conjunct Mercury in Aquarius. And so we've got your personal relationships again. And now Mercury in Aquarius is impacting your daily life. And so what is it about your relationships and how you want to be within a relationship, how you express yourself within that relationship as it relates to your daily routine? Any kind of changes to your daily routine? Are you understanding why things need to change in your daily routine? Because that's Mercury. It's about processing information. And so this is a conjunction, so it's going to come pretty easily. I mean, the energy really kind of is intertwined here. We'll also have the sun conjunct Saturn, so they're both sitting in your house of personal relationships. And Saturn is about the work that you do. This is about creating that long-term plan. What is your strategy? That is the actual building of structures here. So Saturn is the natural ruler, is the actual ruler, if I could get the words out, of Capricorn, and that's really what they represent. And so Saturn in your house of personal relationships wants you to kind of create those guardrails. What makes sense to you? What is it that you're trying to accomplish here? What is it that you want? What kind of dreams do you have connected to this? And then what kind of boundaries do you need to set in place? We'll also have the sun semi-sextile Pluto in Aquarius. And so they are in different signs. They're at roughly that 30-degree point. So they're like just out of contact with each other, enough to create some friction, not enough to do any kind of damage. And so what's happening here is there is what you're trying to accomplish in your personal relationships might be at odds a little bit with your daily routines and what you're doing within your daily routines, or some sort of change that needs to happen within your daily routines. Again, this is not going to be a major aspect, but it is here, so I did want to point it out. So you just need to make some adjustments and understand that maybe some of the things that you previously employed just aren't feasible anymore. They just don't make sense. We'll have Mercury enter Pisces on the 23rd at 2:39 in the morning. And so for Pacific time, it's going to happen just before midnight. And so now what we're going to have is Mercury, Sun, Saturn, and Neptune all in Pisces. And right away, Mercury is going to be conjunct the Sun, and they're both going to be sitting in your house of personal relationships. So this is about expressing your dreams. We'll have Mercury opposite the Moon in Leo, Moon in Leo is about creative expression. And so with Mercury sitting opposite, when it comes to your personal relationships and it comes to your creative expression, this does feel like it's a friction point where you're going to struggle with being able to express yourself in a meaningful way, in maybe an accurate way, because you're trying to find this way of expressing yourself that's just not coming across or being received by the other person in the way that you intended. Mercury is going to be conjunct Saturn. And so Saturn, again, is about creating these structures and really trying to come up with some sort of long-term plan. How do you achieve your goals? That's what Saturn represents. And Mercury in the mix, this would be communicating or really trying to understand, what does that need to be? What does this game plan look like? And how should it all play out for me? Mercury will be semi-sextile Pluto in Aquarius. And so what's happening here, again, we've got your personal relationships and we've got your daily routines. And so again, a little bit of friction around what you're trying to do, what you're thinking you want as far as relationships goes, maybe the type of communication you're having within your relationships. And then this Aquarius energy, this Pluto in Aquarius in your daily routines. And it's just creating a little bit of friction because they're not quite aligned. And so there is going to be some sort of alignment needed. So an action is going to be required here. It could be that you're trying to hold on to something a little bit too hard and the universe is kind of saying, you don't need to. So just kind of keep that in mind too. And then on the 24th, we have the full moon in Virgo. And so that's going to be at 7:30 in the morning Eastern time. So obviously the moon is going to be in your first house. This is going to be in yourself. And so this is really thinking about yourself emotionally. Like, how do you think about yourself? How do you see yourself? Because that's really being highlighted here. And then the sun is in Pisces. So that's your house of partnerships again. So who you are, how you see yourself versus your one-to-one relationships. And so there is this kind of push-pull energy. What is it that you need to do? What is it that you need to let go of? What is it you need to modify here? Because that Pisces in the 7th house is about the dreams that you want. So is there something here about maybe the way that you see yourself that you need to modify? Maybe you've told yourself you're not good enough for the type of relationship that you're looking for, or maybe you've undermined yourself in some sort of way, like compromising too much or something along those lines where you need to modify something about yourself. It's more physical self than that spiritual self, but the moon is in the mix, so it kind of adds that layer of emotional processing into it. And so it's really trying to understand, okay, physically, is there something that needs to change? Emotionally, is there something that needs to change? Do you need to be open and available to having that type of relationship that you're looking for? Have you previously prevented yourself from doing that? And so this would be something that you need to look at and then really release. And really think back maybe to when the new moon was in Virgo, so sometime around your birthday, and what changes or what started at that point, because this would really be the culmination. And does that make sense? Did everything that kind of happened over the last 6 months, did it play out the way that you thought it would? Does some of it need to change? Because that's what you would need to release during this full moon. The full moons are about releasing something that just doesn't work for you anymore. And with you, this is going to be something connected to you and your relationship. So like your role within the relationship. We will have the moon opposite Mercury in Pisces. So again, it's the communication when it comes to these relationships. Is it something where maybe you've kind of held back a little bit in your communication? Maybe you haven't been so direct or straightforward in what it is you're trying to communicate. And now you're being given an opportunity to really modify this. We have the moon trine Jupiter in Taurus. And so Jupiter in Taurus is in your 9th house. And so that 9th house energy is about that higher education, it's philosophy, it's all of those maybe long distance travel, anything religion, maybe just the value, your own value systems. There's a lot happening here with that Jupiter in Taurus as it relates to who you are. And so this would be, okay, maybe I need to change the way that I see myself. Maybe I need to give myself more credit for some of the things that I've done. Maybe I need to see that over the last 6 months or whatever period of time it is that I've grown as a person, and I'm not the person I thought I was. I haven't been that person in years. And now all of a sudden I'm different, and I need to acknowledge that. And so there is this kind of growth opportunity being presented to you about you and the way that you see yourself, and really understanding your accomplishments and what else remains in front of you to be done. We also have the moon opposite Saturn in Pisces. And so again, with your first house, so who you are, now as it's opposite this Saturn in Pisces. And so again, what plan do you have? What kind of structures are you putting in place around your personal relationships? How do you want to grow those? How do you want to expand those? Because this is all happening at the same time, but the moon is opposite this. And so you really need to modify something within yourself and how you see yourself in order to be able to go after the dreams and the goals that you have related to your long-term relationships. And so Virgo, this is your astrology reading for February. I hope this resonates. If it did, please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Take care.